Hey, this is Brett with another challenge, and here it is. A universe can't be made from nothing by a non-thing. So you can't have nothing and add no one to it and get everything. Let me say 5 things in response to this challenge. Number 1, I agree with that statement. I agree. If you have nothing and you have no one, you're not going to get anything. So I agree. But of course, the second question is this the Christian view? And that's my second response, is that no, this is not the Christian view. This is actually a logical fallacy. We know it as the straw man fallacy, right? When you straw man someone's position, you misrepresent it, and then you attack that misrepresentation and say, I won the argument. It doesn't work that way. This is not a good representation of our view, right? It's like if I looked at my atheist friend and I said, well, your argument is that atheism is true because I don't like God. Well, the atheist is going to say, no, that's not my position. And if I said that's his position and I attacked it and dismantled it, well, I would have dismantled a straw man. Straw men are easy to knock over, but the real thing may not be. So this is commits a logical fallacy, straw man. Okay, third response is that we need to kind of properly define what we mean by God creating out of nothing, right? Now, God is not a non-thing. God is a being, and we just mean that there was nothing whatsoever that God used to create the material universe. God did not create out of anything. God created, but he didn't create out of anything. So before the universe began to exist, there was just God. And God brings everything into existence out of nothing. That's the doctrine of creation ex nihilo. God creates out of nothing. So you don't start with no one and nothing. You have nothing in terms of material stuff, but you don't have no one. You have a someone. And that someone is not a physical being. That someone is not limited by time and space. That someone is God, who is spirit, and is an omnipotent being, is an intelligent being, is spaceless, timeless before he brings everything into existence. So that's the doctrine. Now, whether it's true or not is a different matter. We're just saying, hey, look, you can't straw man the argument and knock it over and say you win. No, what you have to do is get the position right. The Christian position is that there was not a non-thing, but a something, or not really a something, a someone who existed, who brought everything into existence out of nothing. Okay, now fourthly, someone's going to ask, well, okay, how did God do that? Well, I don't know. I don't know. There are some questions like that I'm not sure we have a really good answer for. I don't know how God brought everything into existence out of nothing, but there's a difference between me being able to explain how God did it and knowing that God did it. And so I think something like the Kalam cosmological argument gives us reason to think that God did it, that God is the sufficient cause of the universe. Now, how exactly he does that, I don't know. But we do certainly have examples, I think, that maybe illustrate this from just humanity. Like, humanity is created in God's image. We are able to create, and it seems like people are able to create things out of nothing. So you have an author who writes a novel, right? That novel did not exist prior to him writing it. So he kind of creates the novel out of nothing. Or a composer who writes a song and a score and creates this out of nothing. And of course, now it's not a direct parallel, but it kind of gives us the idea of how someone can create out of nothing. Certainly with the composer or the novelist, there's influences on those individuals to create, and that's unlike God. There's nothing that influence God. But it gives us a parallel it helps us to maybe think about how this could be even possible. Okay, lastly, I would say, what's the alternative? What's the atheistic alternative? It seems like the atheist actually has this problem, unless you want to argue that the universe is eternal, and I think there's good reason not to think that the universe is eternal, but you could try to argue that, and then you wouldn't have the same problem. But if you don't argue that way, it seems like you got a similar problem. On atheism, it seems like if you have a beginning of the universe, well, we ask the question, where did that come from? On atheism, there is really no one. There really is a non-thing. There's no one there, no God. And what existed before the beginning of all time, space, matter? Well, nothing. So you really have, on the atheist view, no one plus nothing equals everything. So this isn't actually the Christian position. This isn't the Christian view of God or of creation. This may be an atheist alternative, which, yes, there are atheists out there who argue for that. Otherwise, you'll have to argue for an eternal universe. But you've got to give an alternative. You can't just knock down the Christian view and say you win by default. No, okay, give us your alternative. And oftentimes, I think the atheist is actually going to be stuck with this problem, not the theist. And so, we've answered another challenge.